Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the ultimate guide to playing Jubilee the Strategist in Marvel Rivals. This is a character that is heavy on the resource management, but in this video I'll be showing you the ways to get the most out of her orbs and her entire kit so that you can get a lot of kills as well as a lot of healing with this character. She is very strong if played well, and I'll be breaking all that down in this video. Now first I'm going to break down the orbs, as these are the most important thing that you want to manage well. So you actually will charge them up by healing your team, and then you detonate them, and then you get this boost to your overall attack speed. And if you're using the team up with the hood, you can do some insane damage. It shoots your bullets off a lot quicker. So this is how you're going to manage your abilities here. You got to shoot out the balls, heal the team. You can also damage enemies, but it's best to focus on healing here. Whenever it's fully charged up like that, you have to wait for the timers, because you can see here we have 3, 2, 1. It gets 8 seconds, and then you can ignite it. So it's kind of about managing that, because when the orbs are out, they're going to do 35 heals per second, like you see here. And then once they get fully charged, it'll end up doing 50 heals per second. So that's obviously a lot better. And you want to get into a flow of keeping one out roughly and igniting it there at the right time so that you do get your buffs here as well. Now charging these up is a little bit tricky. So you have a 12-second cooldown. You can also retrieve them. Let's say you threw it in a very bad place and it's not able to hit your team. You retrieve it, it'll give you like a 5-second cooldown on your orb. One tip, if you're having a struggle with getting these fully charged, is you can toss one out and then use your shift ability to increase your speed there, and you can maximize it. So that's typically the way that I like to do that. Get your boost off like that, and then you can like attack if your team is fully healed up, or you can use your increased attack speed to help sustain their health. You never want to just use your main fire as your healing, because it is very weak. You need to do a combination of both, having that out and then charging it. It'll increase in its size as well. And then once you get it to the maximum size, I like to let it run itself out. Just be mindful you have to watch the timer in the middle of your screen there before you ignite it, which will then give you that nice boost. Now the igniting is actually interesting because you can actually use this to damage enemies. So you see here we got this all charged up. Whenever you ignite it on an enemy, whenever you have your cooldown, it'll actually give the target an extra 10% damage they'll take, so you can actually melt them a bit quicker. You're a true strategist here, because you got to know when it's best to use it to buff up your team, or when it's best to hit the enemy. Also, when you detonate it on your team, you're giving your team a 40% movement speed buff for 3 seconds here. That is really huge, in addition to the buff that you're going to get to your overall attack speed. So the flow for the detonation is to shoot it out, buff your attack speed up like this so you can get it full like that, and then detonate it. This will do 65 heal for a one-time effect, and then do 25 heal for over to 3 seconds while they got that 40% movement speed buff. So yeah, you want to buff up your team often with these. I like to have at least one of these out at a time. If it's in like a brawl situation where you can hit the enemies, it'll also deal 50 damage on detonation to the enemies. In addition to that, it'll also blind them for a second and a half, and on top of that, it has a like 49 meter range. So it's actually a very large range with this. You can actually hit targets very large. You see this huge range here, using that to your advantage whenever the enemies are nearby. So with her main fire attack here, it shoots off 8 per second whenever you not boost up, and then it gets a 40% boost whenever you get this additional effect here. But they only heal for 14 per hit, so that's a decent amount of healing. They do 10 damage per hit, and without the hood team up, they can't critically hit, but with the hood team up, they can. That's honestly the way that you want to play this character. And at 30 meters, they'll have a damage fall off of 70%. So yeah, you typically want to obviously be healing as much as possible, but if you can get like critical hits or attack a closer target, that is preferred for the more damage. So if you were to just use your attack here to heal, it'll do 112 per second there. And if you have it fully charged up, it's 156-ish. But you do want to kind of have both of these things going at the same time. Charge up your orb, detonate it, and get your movement speed and attack boost like that. So you can do some pretty crazy stuff with that. Now her shift ability is interesting, because you have a bar. You can actually see it to the right of the middle of the screen here. It's going to charge up, and it drains at a 4 energy per second. You gain 1 per second. So using this is nice, because you can use it in a pinch to be able to target your team, but whenever you leave this form, you do a little bit of a heal at the exit of it. You can only sustain this for 3 seconds, but you typically just want to pop it, because it's going to make it so that you don't, like if you need a cooldown, like a reload, you can actually just use that to be able to get your ammo back, and then use your ability here to give yourself infinite ammo, so you don't even have to reload if you flow through your abilities well enough, because then you can just fully charge another one of these here, waiting for that cooldown to come, so that you can blow up another one of these here, and then you're likely going to have your shift back if you end up messing it up. For example, like this, we can go ahead and shoot like that. We got this fully charged up again, waiting on the cooldown cooldown for the explosion, and it doesn't match up perfectly, but you're able to, if you do these in the actual game, you'll actually be able to flow between these very well. So that is kind of the trick. You want to use this as like a get out of jail free card. You also get a big jump and movement speed boost, which is nice, but it's more so just for charging these up if you really need to, or healing a teammate when you're out of ammo. Now, Jubilee's ult is interesting. It's going to last for 10 seconds, and you can adjust the angle of it. You want to hit these orbs off of your teammates here, because they will do 40 heal per hit. They'll alternatively do 25 damage per hit. You're also healing your team for 150 per second while they're inside of your orb here, so this can really boost up their health. And then you can kind of rush forwards. You want to typically make it smaller, obviously if enemies are nearby, because this makes them spin a lot quicker, so you can do faster bursts of healing, or you can also do higher bursts of damage. It only does 20 damage per second, so using it against the enemies isn't like super amazing by any means. But if you have a large group of enemies all grouped up, you can do some pretty considerable amounts of damage, because it's going to hit for 20 per second and 20 per orb. And when you have them spinning quickly around like this, you can do some decent damage. Typically when I'm using the ult, I like to pop out one of the orbs here. I didn't mean to explode it like that, but you're gonna then pop your ult here because your team is gonna be healing within this zone. Just be mindful of who is nearby. You also get your speed boost off too, so you can do some pretty, or you get your attack speed boost off, so you can do some pretty considerable amounts of damage whenever this is happening. It is really just about managing all your resources. If your team's like in an uh-oh moment, you can swap into this, make it smaller so that these orbs are healing them and stand a little bit behind them here. Make sure that you do get that orb fired off like that, because then you can also apply a debuff to the enemies and do some pretty crazy damage. Now for Teamups, the Teamup with Blade is my least preferred one. You get life steal on your attacks, and when you have Blade on the field, it gives a slight boost to the healing. This is a nice ability if you do have Blade around, but if there's no Blade, it's better to go with the Hood Teamup. The Hood Teamup will be crazy once it gets buffed, but giving life steal to your team is nice, because if they're like a high damage character, that gives them a lot of sustain. But in my opinion, the Hood Teamup is just so crazy. So when the attack speed is enhanced, energy plasmoids transform into a hit scan attack that grants self-healing on hit and is capable of doing critical hits. This is insane. And the enhanced ability, whenever teaming up with the Hood, the Void Mark magic is never cleared. That means that she can infinitely sustain the hit scan attack form. So yeah, it'll be really nice whenever she can just go ahead and beam everybody quickly with this, because yeah, getting the headshots off like that and turning it into a hit scan is just so crazy powerful. So yeah, with the Hood coming out soon, this is going to be insane. But even without the Hood, it's still very crazy. Now, it's all about resource management. That's the big thing. So making sure that you have at least one orb out at a time. I like to keep one kind of like in reserves. You have to aim these though at the ground. It's kind of like Cloak and Dagger's bubble where you're going to hit it off at. But yeah, you can actually do considerable amounts of damage when you have your hit scan form going off here. You're great at sustaining other healers with your orbs, because you can just charge those up and then give yourself that boost overall. So it is really about just keeping one in the tank whenever at all possible, so you can have an orb just to always be able to toss them out. There sometimes are some situations where you want to have two orbs at a time, but most times if you can get as much of your team in one of them as possible, just so you can detonate it and then toss out another one right away so that they get the most amount of healing possible, that ends up being the best for the overall flow of this character. So yeah, it's kind of about getting that boost to your overall attack speed, getting a little bit of damage off if there's any stragglers that you can pick off, especially when you got the hit scan difference, and then tossing another orb, charging it up, using your shift ability to charge it. Like that's what I did there. I was getting dove by the Venom, and it was fine. And same thing there, I just blew up an orb there, so toss another one out. And this is great because all the team was just right in this section here. Keep an eye on your other teammates if they needed a boost. You can always just press your shift ability to get that attack speed boost, so you can heal up your other teammates as quickly as possible. But yeah, it's great if you have like a brawl style tank like Dino there, where everyone's going to be kind of grouped up around, because the orbs get quite large, so you can just sustain your team quickly that way. And yeah, you're great at also taking out other things like these squids like you saw there. Whenever your team starts to push up, you can start to use the orbs a little bit more offensively. Just be mindful your team will run out of the orbs often, so that's something that you'll have to keep in mind. I'm being a little bit more offensive here and tossing one up because yeah, we were actually just dominating this team, so sometimes you can use them a little bit more aggressively. I was waiting for the explosion, and then boom, was able to hit it off on everyone. Always be watching your cooldowns. The exploding does have a cooldown timer here you have to be mindful of. Now, it's nice in small hallways like this first push on this convergence map here, because you're actually able to buff up your entire team, and then when you get the detonation off, you can apply the blind onto a bunch of enemies here all at the same time. So we do like those areas where the team kind of gets all grouped up, and there's a lot of maps where that is the case. You do have a lot of damage with your hit scan too, which is also amazing. So with that, you should be able to dominate as Jubilee in Marvel Rivals. If you have any questions though, feel free to hit me in the comments below. Also hit the subscribe button if you found this useful, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.